Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to day 7 of the Power of Love Summit, transforming self and society through love and compassion. So glad you're here. My name is Brittany Tackett. I'm a transpersonal therapist and coach, a yoga and meditation teacher, and the founder of Heart First Education, whose mission is to educate the whole person, heart first. And our vision is a world where hearts are educated as much as minds. And so that is the purpose of this summit, is just to come together, bringing heart-centered leaders and teachers, healers, coaches, to have these conversations about how we can live more in our hearts rather than our heads, and to have more love and compassion for ourselves and others. So today I have a very special guest with us, Radha Dalai, and she is here to talk about opening up our heart chakra. So excited, Radha. Could you introduce yourself to us, please? Tell us about you and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Radha Dalai. I am a women's intuitive coach. I'm the founder of Pink Rose Wellness, where I help women reclaim their voice and align with their chakras. And I also host a podcast called Growing with God. And really, it's my intention to help people love themselves 5% more. Really, it's my intention I believe everyone has the answers within them. It's really my intention through conversations, through podcasts, through interactions, is to help you pull those answers and those solutions out a little more. And I'm just so excited to get into this conversation.
Yes. And I love that idea of just loving yourself even 5% more, right? Like it doesn't have to be like a major shift, but even like the smallest little shift makes a big difference. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. I used to work with children. I actually still work with children. And we'd always have these like very inspirational quotes around. I worked in pediatric oncology, and it's like the smallest things in life take up the most space in your heart, right? So whether that's babies or kids, or just like a moment where someone opens the door for you, or that moment you wake out of bed and you have like a positive thought, like it's those little things that build momentum. And we live in an age where it's hustle culture, and we're adding all these things to our plate. And it's like, I don't want to add anything to your plate. However, I would love to shift something that you're already doing in a way that facilitates that opportunity for love.
I like that a lot. Awesome. So since our focus is the heart chakra, can you tell our viewers what that is? Maybe someone who has never even heard of the chakra system, what the heart chakra is, and what an open one would look like versus a closed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I interpret the chakra system, and the most simplest way that I like to talk about it and explain about it, is there are many chakras, but for simplistic sake, there's 7 chakras. And the heart chakra is technically the 4th chakra. It's actually in the middle, and it's the largest chakra. And in Sanskrit, it's called Anahata. And if you translate Anahata, it can mean infinite, it can mean boundless, it can mean unstuck. And it's also associated with the color green. And so I'd like to give like simple terms. So like just the color green, and just imagine a heart that's like unstuck. Imagine a heart that is infinite. That is the energy of the heart chakra. And I bring color in because we live in a world that's full of color. And when I first learned about the chakra system, I assumed that the heart chakra would be red or pink. And as I thought about it more, like green makes a lot of sense to me now, because it's nature, right? You can step outside and it's super expansive, and even your background right now is green. Yeah. And it's like, you can have a plant, you can have a leaf, you can like watch a tree. That itself can open up your heart chakra and be that boundless energy. And like, I love to go back to ease. If you're just like wanting to love yourself 5% more, or you're wanting to open up your heart chakra, you can even wear the color green. You can find a pen that has green and ink and like write an affirmation with it. Like just these simple things that we have access to, right? Like I don't want to make you buy all of these things or, you know, have to think so differently. But like, yeah, I can grab a pen. I have a green pen, or I have a green piece of paper, or I have a green t-shirt or a green dress. That itself, that small intention, right? That pure intention behind it will help open up your heart chakra. Um, and I think what's also often associated with the heart chakra is giving, right? Like service, helping others. And I think many of us are very familiar with giving, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. Um, but what's also associated with the heart chakra is receiving. And I think many of us, myself included, can struggle with receiving. And so going back to your question, you know, having an open heart chakra or a balanced heart chakra, whatever word feels good to you, is being able to receive. Being able to receive that love you give to other people. Being able to receive compliments, right? Like, no, I don't look good in that shirt. No, that's not my style. No, like I couldn't pull off this headband, or I couldn't pull off this bracelet, or whatever, right? Like just being open to receiving all of the wonderful love that you deserve, and also being in a state of gratitude and appreciation, right? Being in a gratitude frequency is one of the highest frequencies we can be in, and it creates this magnetic force around us. So like I love to spend my time talking more about what keeps us open, because the things that we focus on more is what expands. Does that kind of answer? I went long-winded. That kind of answer the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Focusing on what keeps us open rather than like what would close us off, because what you are focusing on, like it's going to expand. You're putting your energy there. So, and that's just like the gratitude, like focusing on what we appreciate and what we're thankful for versus like operating from like a frequency of lack and seeing all the things that need fixed or done or we don't have. So I think that's a beautiful shift. What else about opening the heart chakra? Like,
Yeah,
what comes to your mind?
yeah. Like with that, it's such a duality, because when I say focus on it, I'm also like, I don't want to insinuate or not acknowledge hurt and grief, because that's also reality. I think it's also important to acknowledge whatever you're feeling. And I think that can also be tough in hustle culture. Like maybe someone said something, or you know, maybe you're at work, someone said something, you also got a text message, you also got a notification, and all of a sudden you feel like crying, but you're at work and you have to be composed and you work with other people. Like how, like this is something that I face. Like how do we continue to acknowledge our feelings, but we're living in this fast-paced world? I think there isn't a right or wrong answer to that. I think it's honoring your emotions and finding a way to process that. Like, can you step away? Can you get outside and see the trees? Can you, you know, write a little like love note to yourself? I think that also can open up your heart chakra, because you're acknowledging your feelings. And as human beings, we're meant to feel all of our emotions. And I know that doesn't always feel good, and that's not the norm. Like for me in my culture growing up, we were always taught to push everything down. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, where you just sweep things under the rug. And it's like, oh my God, I'm feeling something. Let me shove it down. But when we shove our emotions down, we're closing our heart chakra, but it also lasts so much longer. If we actually feel it and acknowledge it, it goes away so much faster. And then we're able to like almost like get to this new level where we open and expand our heart chakra a little bit more.
Yes, I totally agree. Because when we hold on to it and we stuff it down, it's still there and you don't know when it's going to pop back up or what might trigger it. And it's like, and then you don't have a clear field, right? You don't have, like, you've got those blockages in your chakras. And when we are able to feel the feelings and let them go through us, it's like we can operate from like this pure, clean state. and we don't have all this baggage and stuff from the past, like that's affecting us in our current experience. Cause I feel like those things, it can almost be like a filter, like you're seeing
Mhm.
reality through this filter. And if that other stuff is there, you're actually not fully present. So there's just so much to just actually allowing ourselves to feel and to let it move through you and not like letting it get stuck in there, which I know we've all done it at some point. How can we not? Like that's what our society kind of teaches us to do. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that word allow. I think it's like just
Mhm.
allowing life to flow towards you, right? And just, I think a lot of the heart chakra is all about acceptance,
Mhm.
right? Like, can I just accept people and situations as they are? That doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean it excuses their behavior. That doesn't mean you agree with them. But can I be in a state of allowal and acceptance? And then from there, I feel like the heart even opens up even more because I can't change anyone. As coaches, as therapists, as healers, we all know this. We cannot change anyone. If that person wants to change, we can facilitate and open up opportunities for change. But it is that individual that creates their own transformation, right? So
Mhm.
it's just like that gentle reminder of like, what is it that you really want? And if you really want more love, then it requires commitment.
Yeah, it does. Hmm. Yeah. So when we think about the heart chakra, we think of the color green, I think of love, acceptance, kindness. I'm trying to think like what else to really like to spark that of what the heart chakra is and how we get more in touch with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I Another thing that I love that I feel like is super easy and accessible is sound healing.
Yeah.
Um, I know we can't always go to a sound healing session. However, YouTube and like other sources of music is so accessible and easy in my opinion. And there's so many different like heart chakra frequencies that are available. And it has a cleansing effect. Like I actually leave it in different rooms of the house to cleanse. And I think that opens up the heart chakra. There's different frequency for every chakra, actually. So if you're working on your throat chakra or your third eye intuition, you can also find those frequency. But specifically for the heart, I feel like sound healing is so relaxing, and you can pair it with breath work. You can pair it with movement. I would, a lot of like soft circular movement, opening up that feminine energy can be so expansive. And I always go back to ease. Like it's easy. It's actually our truest nature to be in joy, right? It's our truest nature to be unstuck, right? To have a full heart. And so I think it brings us back to that alignment and opens up the heart chakra as well.
Yes. And when we operate from that state of allowing and accepting, we really do kind of live a life of ease, right? Because there's not that resistance that we have when we're in resistance. It doesn't feel good, right? You're all clenched up. But when you just allow, then you can experience the ease and trust too. I feel like there's a lot of trust in the heart chakra. And that even when it's painful, because when we are in our heart, sometimes it hurts and we have to be vulnerable, but there's that like sense of trust in your experience, even when it's difficult.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
think to right to before we can love someone, we have to know them, right? And before we can know them, this includes ourselves, right? Before we can even love ourselves, we have to know ourselves. And then to know ourselves, we have to spend time with ourselves. And then to spend time with ourselves, that's how we create that trust and that love that you're speaking about.
Yeah. So sometimes that takes like getting quiet and getting away from all the distractions and really going inward. Maybe it's writing, right? Like you said, with the green pen, or getting out in nature and just listening. Like I love just getting outside and just listening and just observing and being present with the natural world. I feel like for me, that always like helps me to ground more in my heart, and really the root chakra too, because you're connected to the earth. But Yeah, that's why I love the color green too. I also thought like pinks and reds, and I'm like, well, it makes so much sense, like because we're connected to the earth, and so yeah. And I know for the frequencies you mentioned, there's a sound yam is like the sound of the heart chakra. So
Mhm.
sometimes I like to actually chant that one myself and like feel the vibration in my throat and my heart. It really does like open that up. Like you can just physically feel it as you're chanting it. And I know they are on YouTube. You can type in like YAM yam and you'll find that chant and you can just sing right along with it.
Yeah, I love that. It's so easy and it feels so good. Like there, and I think that's like the key. I think that is the purpose of the heart chakra when it's open, is to be in ease and not in that resistance that you are speaking about.
Yes, definitely. And as a yoga teacher, I would say for the heart chakra, like a lot of heart opening postures. And so, some of them are back bends, so you have to ease into them, but just any like posture that you are opening up the chest is really like energetically going to open up the heart chakra. And, there's poses that you can stay in for longer. We call it yin yoga. And you can hold
Mm,
those poses and just have the intention of opening up your heart. And it really does make a difference. You might even feel like emotions releasing and coming up as you hold your body in that position. So,
yeah, I love that one. I love like going back like this, like goddess pose.
mhm.
And this is not the full pose, but I love going back like this. And one of my favorite affirmations is I open up my heart to unexpected miracles,
Mm.
and to just really like, like you said, have that intentionality, pour breath work into it and just feel that vibration can feel so good. I know for myself, I hold a lot of stress and tension in my shoulders. And so even the opener, just like it opens up that like physicality in you as well, like opening up your heart chakra, but also creates a lot of relief up here that allows that expansion to happen in my experience.
Yes, I felt that too. I tend to hold mine like in the middle of my back, like right behind my heart. It's like I'm carrying baggage. Literally, that's how it will feel. And I can like feel the tension there. And so it's beautiful to be able to soften that. I think it's probably connected to the heart chakra with it,
Mhm.
our shoulders and back being right behind there. It's like when
Yeah.
your heart is heavy, it's like you just feel that. Yeah. So, do you have any techniques that you use with the women that you work with to help them to release stuck emotion, to get out of that feeling of being stuck and to be like more open and loving in their hearts, like even if it's difficult?
Yeah, I love the term release stuck emotions. I think once we release it, it really opens up. A lot of the people that I work with are like corporate women, and they just have a lot of stress. They have a lot on their plate. That's why I talk a lot about ease and shifting. So it's like, what are you already doing? Are you already drinking coffee? Are you already drinking tea? All right, can we drink cacao? Right? Can
Mm.
we drink green tea? Right? Like as I'm pouring the tea kettle into my cup, can I say an affirmation? Can I say, like, can I offer gratitude? Like, I'm so grateful that I have access to clean water. I'm so grateful I can nourish my body with gentle foods, right? Like, just that little bit, if you start your morning off with that sense of gratitude, it changes that shifts the whole day for you. And so that's what we work on. What are you already doing? And how can we shift it towards opening your heart? How can we shift it towards self love? How can we shift it towards positive, healthy self talk? And so that would be my main thing. What is it that you're already doing? A lot of us love skincare. I love skincare, right? When we're putting moisturizer on our skin, can we add positive affirmations, especially looking in the mirror? Can we just say, I am unconditional love? I am love. I am loved. I'm loving. Like all these simple words. And it's hard. It sounds weird. It feels uncomfortable, right? But after like a full year of doing it, after 7 days of doing it, it's not gonna be so weird. It becomes a habit, right? Like I don't want to give someone like 6 hours of work to do. What are they already doing? How can they shift it? Right? You're already putting your skincare. Let's take a couple of seconds, right? You know, for those of you who may be familiar with Mel Robbins, she does like the high five technique. You can, you know, just high five yourself, right? Like it's such a positive thing that happens to you. Like even if you just do it right now on the screen, like you feel that like a high five is a positive thing that happens and you just feel good and happy. And you know, there's so many things that happens in the brain as well that improves your mood and, you know, creates all those happy chemicals. It's by doing these little things. So like I said, pouring tea, adding gratitude, looking in the mirror, saying affirmations. And the biggest thing that I think that has helped me is movement. You know, you're a yoga teacher, you're very familiar, and it can be yoga, it can be a formal exercise, but it also can be like playing your favorite song and dancing and just releasing the energy in your body. Like we talked about, energy can get stuck in our body, especially if we don't process and release it. Moving that energy might allow you to also speak and express that out in a way that's healthy and allow you to just release it. Because, like we talked about, we hold so much in and it can actually stay in our body. And the way to do that is through walking, through movement, through circular motion, through yoga, through cardio, through whatever movement feels good to you. For me, I love walking. I love dance parties. I love restorative yoga. That feels good to me in my body. And so much comes out and we have to process it. And so I find that's worked a lot for me. And I found that's worked a lot for my clients because they can do it in their day. They have time to do it. And of course, we talked about writing and journaling. Like, I have a sequence that we go through, but one of the most powerful questions is, what are 5 things I like about myself?
Mm-hmm.
And some days it's really hard for me to come up with those 5 things. And sometimes it's really hard for my clients to come up with 5 things. And that's okay. That's okay. But can we feel it? And then we get to a point where it's not that hard. And it's super easy to come up with those things. And that's when that 5% expands to 10%, to 20%, to 30%, to on and on and on.
Yes, I love that. And I love how you have start by looking at what the person is already doing and how can we just shift a little bit or make these small little changes. I think that's huge because a lot of times, people are already stressed. Like we already have so much on our plate, it's a lot to manage. And then sometimes you feel like, oh, this is just one more thing I have to try to do. And we get that energy about it. So it's more like something you can add in to your day rather than having to add it on. Like there's so many little micro places in our lives where we can just add a little bit more heart, a little more gratitude, a little more self-love, a little more compassion. Like I love looking at it from that place rather than oh, I got to sit down and meditate for 20 minutes. I got to do this. I have to, what are you already doing? And what small little changes can you make that will actually make a big difference? So that's really neat.
Yes, exactly.
And I liked that you mentioned cacao too. So for our viewers who haven't heard of cacao used as a heart opener, so I know you may have seen it in the grocery store as like a superfood, and it totally is. It's full of magnesium and all kinds of good stuff. But you can drink it in a sacred way, and it is very expansive and heart opening. And I think it's a great alternative to coffee or tea, or maybe you sit down with it intentionally in the evening and you have a little cacao ceremony. And I love it. It doesn't create any mind effects. It's not psychedelic. You're not going to trip out. It just really makes you feel warm and loving and really just so good. I don't know how else to describe it. How would you describe it, Radha? What do you think about cacao?
Yeah, exactly. You can put it in anything, literally. Of course, to your taste preference. There's, like you said, there's no quote unquote drug effect or anything like that. And I love the intentionality and like bringing the word sacred. Like it really can be sacred. It really is meant to be sacred. And it's like the time you spend in the, like, I'm always bringing it back to morning, but it can be evening, but like that morning with the sun, right?
Mhm.
Like connecting with the natural elements, right? Or maybe in the evening with the moon, and just adding that intention. And it just allows that same expansive energy that happens when you high five yourself or when you say an affirmation. We have so many tools accessible. It's just, what mood are you in, or what feels right for you, or what works for you? And cacao is just one of those tools.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so you can drink it in a tea, like it's almost like a hot chocolate. You can, and it is bitter, but you can add honey and spices to it. But even like putting like the little cacao bits in your food. But I love to like have like a full dose, like a full cup
Me
of
too.
tea, and like just to sit down with it. And it's so nice. So, but it really, intention is everything. You can make, and we talked about this yesterday with Jess, like you can make any moment sacred. And when we live from our heart, we really feel the sacredness of every moment. And so I think that that's a lot can be missed when we're, up here and operating from our mind, and we're not like fully present from the space of the heart.
Mm, yeah, I love that you brought up presence. I think that is the key to living in your heart. That is what meditation and yoga and cacao and affirmations, all of these tools are meant to reclaim your presence. And that itself is being in alignment with your heart chakra, right? Like when you reclaim your presence, you're not worried about the past and you're not living in the future. You are strictly here, this moment. I love that statement. You can make any moment sacred, right? By being present, you're giving a gift to yourself, and you're really loving yourself because you're allowing yourself to live in the moment instead of just like ruminating on a talk loop, or ruminating on what you should have said to your boss yesterday or whatever, right? Like being present is your gift.
Yes, exactly. Like the present moment is a gift. It's like a little present, right? And we can open it any time. But sometimes we forget that because we get stuck in the thought loops. And, when we think about it, they talk about like we hear it being referred to as being centered. And it really is like that. Our heart is the center, right? It's the center chakra. It's the one in the middle. And so that's really what it's all about. When we're getting centered and grounded, we're here and we're operating from here. And it's just such a different frequency than the mind. And it's really amazing once you start to notice it. Like I'll notice like, oh, wait a minute, I'm operating from up here. Like, let me just take a moment and ground and be more present and be more centered in my heart. And then I'm able to like see things more clearly. And, I don't have all that ego stuff in the way, like all those filters, like I
Mm,
mentioned earlier. It's just like pure presence and awareness without all the judgments or the resistance, just accepting and allowing, right? Like
yeah,
those are like the mantras for the heart chakra: accept and
yeah,
allow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. I think another thing that's associated with the heart chakra is also forgiveness.
Yes.
And we could talk about forgiving other people, but I think more importantly is like, can you forgive yourself? That is the key. And it takes a lot of strength and bravery and courage to face that ego and face certain situations or beliefs you may have about yourself. But when you're able to open up your heart, open up your heart chakra, I think it's important to forgive others, but most importantly, forgive yourself. And I think that has been the biggest transformation that's happened for my clients and for myself.
Yes. And it's definitely not an easy thing to do, but there's just so much reward on the other side if you're able to do so. And really, when I look at like any religion or spiritual tradition, like they all have forgiveness in there somewhere, because when we hold on to that anger, like it festers, right? It's like drinking poison. And you're not
Mm,
poisoning the other person, you're poisoning yourself. And then I think that
yeah.
even more so when the guilt and the shame is directed at ourselves, right? When we're not forgiving ourselves for something, a mistake that we've made, right?
Yeah.
So I like to look at it as like, how would I treat my friend or my family member who is in this situation? Would I be saying these things to them, or would I have a different perspective? And, usually you have a different perspective, right? You're not going to say the things that you would think to yourself to your loved one. You would have more compassion for them. So why not bring that compassion to yourself? Because you're just a human too, and it's okay. Like that, whatever happened in the past, it's over. You can learn from it. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. You have to like be able to find that compassion for yourself, really.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's exactly what you said. Forgiveness is meant for you, even if it is another person. It's not about agreeing with that person, but when you forgive that person, you're giving yourself freedom. And when you forgive yourself, you're giving yourself freedom to be in your most authentic nature and be present. If you're not forgiving yourself, it's very difficult to be present.
Yeah, it is, because you've got like this weight that you're holding on to, and you're not able to be fully present, fully clear. Like, it's in your field, like it's there energetically somewhere. If we're holding on to it, it's there still. You haven't released it. So there's just such a beauty to actually feeling the emotion and releasing it. Like, I love to cry. Like, I'm not going to hold back my tears because it feels so good to release it and to let it move. Like, the crying feels like movement, and like I want it out. I don't want to keep it in. So, yeah. I feel like I had another thought about the heart chakra, but I lost it. Yes. Well, do you have any lingering thoughts, Radha, about this, or anything that your heart wants to say or share with our viewers?
Sure. I think going back to ease and going back to um, opening up the heart chakra, right? Like, we have senses, right? We have sight, we have smell, we have taste. We talked about sound a little bit, like we can listen and we can feel, right? And so we don't have to make things complicated, whatever for you in this moment. Like, if you touch something, maybe it's a soft material, maybe it's a pet, a partner, your child, right? Like, that touch can open up your heart chakra. It can even be yourself, like a self-soothing touch when you're putting lotion on, right? That can open up your heart chakra, right? Like, even your eyes, something aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, or again, someone you love, or trees or flowers, right? Like, something that you love, that opens up your heart chakra. And same thing with smells, like the aroma of your mom's cooking, or whatever, right? Like, just like bringing it back to ease. We all know what our five senses are, right? It can become a mindful act. Like, five, you touch something, you smell something, you taste something, you see something, you hear something. That practice alone will open up your heart chakra.
Yes, I love that. It really can be simple. Like, it doesn't have to be this complicated thing. And our heart, it's always here for us. It's just about slowing down, getting quiet, tuning inwards. And like you said earlier, the intention, just the simple intention to be more in your heart, to open up your heart and to cleanse blockages, to heal. Like, that intention alone, I think this is a lot, right? Like, having that intention, it's going to bring you some sort of movement, some change, some shifting, right? And as we make those subtle shifts, it gradually increases, right? Maybe from loving yourself 5% more, like you said, to 10%, and so on and so on. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here today, Radha. It was a pleasure to speak with you. How can our viewers find you? How can they learn more about Pink Rose Wellness?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page called Pink Rose Wellness, and I have an Instagram called Radiance with Rads. That's Radiance with RADS. And my love language is voice notes. So just drop me a voice note. I'm happy to chat with you and connect with you and support you in any way that I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers. From my heart to yours, I hope you all have a beautiful Sunday, or whatever day it is when you're watching this video, if you watch the replay. So thank you so much. Namaste, friends.
Thank you. Bye.